Welcome to the second part. So now that we know the basic functions of the platform, let's see how we can use an already existing dataset. As I mentioned, we will be working with EITI data. The website eiti.org is a good go-to as it hosts a great amount of data. In our case, we go to the countries, choose Zambia, and from there EITI reports and key documents. When we click on the 2015 report, we will be directed to a page that contains the entire report as a PDF and annexes in form of XLS tables. That is naturally what we want. The table with beneficial ownership data is in Annex 3, which I found while browsing through the content table in the main report. We won't always be so lucky, as in some reports the table will be in form of a PDF in the main report. However, what we need for Onodo is an XLS table that we can alter in Google Spreadsheet, Microsoft Excel, or any other open document software. This is what the document looks like. On the left, we have the operating company, and on the right, the owners with percentage ownership information. When we try to upload this table, all we will get is an error message. The data needs to follow a certain format in order to be read. To ease the task, Onodo has a template that you can download here at the bottom of the Create a Visualization page. How does it look like? Basically, it is the table that we've used when we created a project from scratch that you can now open with Excel. I did not want to visualize all operating companies, but only the top 10. Which are responsible for 87% of all payments to the government of Zambia. I took this data from the PDF document just for clarity. So let's first simplify the information from Annex 3 so that we can make it fit to the nodes and the links. We will be going backward because initially the information we have about the ownership data belongs to the links section. I broke down the raw data and gave each section its own row. The first column is called company name and is comparable to the source column on Onodo. The second column is the name of the company that owns the source. I added the place of incorporation of the first company. The shares column relates to the shares the owning company has in the source. And I topped it up with links to my source. This is important since I have added other sources to complement missing information. For example, the Kalumbila mine is the 7th largest operation in terms of payments, but the EITI report does not give us any ownership information. You will find more information on how to find additional ownership data in more detail in the step-by-step guide. This is the first step in adjusting the data for Onodo. Just as an addition, I have added a sheet with companies that are publicly listed in major markets in an extra sheet. From the sheet I created, let's arrange the nodes part. I just copied the information from the company ownership and the listings sheet for the name column. What I need now is the type. I have decided to categorize operating companies, state-owned companies, and all other companies. Also, I added the category listing and incorporation to indicate whether companies are incorporated and listed. In the descriptions column, I only added information for how much percentage of the total payments each company is responsible for. The visible column is a Boolean, which basically means 1 for show and 0 for don't show. Finally, I wanted some nodes to come out bigger than others. It is as if I created a new column with numbers as type of data. The smallest ones are just called companies with 0. I made the operating companies slightly bigger with 5. The main state company ZCCMIH has a 15. And finally, Zambia as the center has 20. If you don't do this, by default, Onodo will make the nodes with more connections bigger, which does not serve our purpose. Now that we have the nodes, let's move to the Links tab. Just like in the online table, we have the Source column, the Type column, the Target column, as well as the Directed column. What I did here was basically to break down the Company Ownership tab, which had multiple information, in order to describe only one relation per row. Also, I added a column that describes information on shares, whenever I could find it. The final column is not important for our visualization, but for anyone interested in downloading the table. This information contains my sources or metadata. I made changes to the Type column. Since this will describe the arrows, I decided to call the categories Owned by if the source and the target are companies, Incorporated in when the source is a company and the target a country, and Listed for the stock exchange listings. In the Directions column, which is another Boolean categorization, I chose to put all on one, meaning all relations are arrows. This is basically it. We have prepared the data for importation into Onodo, from where we will be able to visualize it. Back on Onodo, we can now create a new visualization and select our prepared spreadsheet. When we click on Create, we will see how the nodes appear dynamically on the visualization plane. Perhaps the nodes are not quite what we had imagined, so we need to change the node size so that it reflects the numbers in the Strength column. One of the first things you can do is play around with the nodes. Pull those you want to have a closer look at and see whether there is any node floating around freely without any connection. Should that be the case, you can change the data manually in the data input plane below. The visualization looks a bit messy. One way to clean it up would be to turn off the Show Labels options in the settings. Like this, the node names and labels will only appear if you hover over them and select one of them. Selecting one of the nodes will, by the way, show us all direct links and open a sidebar with a description. Another way to clean up can be found in the Advanced tab in the settings. Basically, you can set the distance between the linked nodes and the strength of those links. This will affect how easily the nodes adjust if you pull them. You can see how this works by clicking on Actions and then Preview. Every time you open an Onodo visualization, the nodes rearrange. Finally, if you are happy with the way the nodes are arranged and don't want them to change, Fix Nodes option on the right side of the visualization plane. Be aware though that this means that neither you nor your audience will be able to change the visualization by pulling the nodes. Once you have adjusted the visualization to fit your story, you can move on and share it. You will first need to publish it, upon which your visualization will appear on the gallery on the website. You can unpublish at any time or edit and make changes. The sharing function is easy. You can embed your visualization on websites or on social media using the links provided. Thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Don't forget that there is additional information and plenty of supporting material on the Onodo website itself, some of which you can find in the link description.